guys, welcome back to Gilly Bikes. So today I am on the BMW R NINE, so straight to the walk round, and then don't forget to come back for the test ride. Ta-da! So we've got the BMW R NINE. I did ask for the Scrambler, but they didn't have any available for me to go on, so this is just the standard one. It just looks like it's all engine, this bike, because you've got the big traditional BMW boxer engine sticking out there. Tell me what you think of it. I think it looks all right, especially from the other side. I'll show you that shortly, because that's where the exhaust is, and that for me is where it just looks nicer. It's a nicer angle. I'm gonna take a seat so you can see what I look like sat on it. I've said loads of times I'm only a short fella. I'm 5'7.5", and I always say the half matters because it really does. Have a look at what I'm like when I'm sat on it. You can see it's quite a short bike. It suits a little fella like me. I am flat foot on both sides, so no issues when you stopped at traffic. And you can see riding position, I am leant forward a little bit, but only a little bit, and it is a comfortable ride. So make sure you stay tuned for the test ride so you can have a look at my thoughts and feelings about the bike when we're on the move. It is quite a old-fashioned type setup here, but it is part of BMW's heritage range, so you're not going to get fancy TFTs, as you'll see shortly. So you can have a look at the bike from this side so you can see why I think this is the best angle for this bike. Really do like the way the exhaust is set up there. Excuse the dirt on this bike as well, but it is this time of year, so your bikes don't stay clean for long, albeit it's nice and sunny today. It's still cold, still the odd little bit of wet patches on the floor, so you're always going to get a bit of dirt on your bike, so excuse that. I do like how the exhaust looks. It's nice. I'm going to start it up so you can have a listen. Now, first thing you notice with this bike, I don't know if you caught it then, so I'll show you again. So when you start this bike up, it's a characteristic of this particular engine. You immediately get a bit of a shake straight away, and you get the same effect when you give it a bit on the throttle. But anybody who's ridden one of these bikes or one of BMW's bikes with this engine in, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've not, I will show you now. So I'll not hold the bars so you can see what it's like when it starts. So you can see straight away you get that little shake from side to side, and if I give it a little bit of a rev, it does exactly the same thing. So when you give it the rev, straight away the engine just rocks the bike, so that can be a bit unnerving until you get used to it. So I'll get off, I'll put the microphone down near the exhaust so you can have a look, or have a listen, should I say, at what this beast sounds like. It does sound nice. I don't think anyone can dispute that. I think it does sound really good. And again, I'm not going to hold the bike so you can see just how much effect this engine does have when you give it a bit of a rev. So you can see straight away. And if you can just come around this side and just have a look again so you can see it at a different angle. All I'm going to do is just lightly touch the throttle, and you can see how the engine causes the entire bike to move. But I like it. It's a bit of character. It does have my favourite thing in the world. We have got heated grips. It's got 3 settings. and I can confirm it's nice and toasty. And a day like today, it's nice and sunny, but it's bloody cold. We've got a mode button so we can change rider modes, etc. And we've got your stop start button. So I'll just stop it so you can hear me a bit better without the engine running. On this side, we've got a bit of I want to say a fine cluttering of buttons, because there's quite a lot of buttons considering there's bugger all happening with the screen. As you can see, the screen itself, very old school. We've got your speedo going round. There isn't a gear indicator. The only indicator you've got for your gears is when you're in neutral. And the digital side of the clock there, we've got the miles this bike's done, so it's not fresh out the box. It has been ran in nicely, which means I can ride it properly. And it has got a couple of modes, so it's got the standard modes that BMWs come with. So we've got road mode, we've got dynamic, we've got rain, and yeah, that's it for this bike. So it's got a couple of rider modes. If I get a chance, I'll have a play with those on the test ride so we can see if there's any difference. I have just been riding with road mode so far, and it seems like it's got quite a lot of oomph with it, as you'll see. This side, again, you've got quite a lot of buttons, and they're all very close together, with your horn, your indicator, your menu button, and your hazards, etc. One thing I have found with this bike, which I do like, it does have self-cancelling indicators. What I have noticed as well, these mirrors, they're not particularly big, and you don't get a great deal of view behind you. But you'll be going that fast, you'll only be worried about what's in front of you. That's fact. Because it's an absolute brute of a machine. So, as per normal, make sure you stay with me for the test ride. You will see I am in tandem with Taffy Apple, who is my star cameraman today. And excuse me if I'm squinting a lot, because it's bloody sunny and the sun is right in my eyes. Stay tuned and I will give you my verdict for this bike, and I'll tell you exactly what I think of it, what I like, what I don't like. Cheers guys, keep watching. Seating position is not quite a sports bike. I think if you were tall with long arms, you'd be sat up quite straight. Shorty like me, I'm bent forward just a little bit. But it's not an uncomfortable position, it's quite nice. It's got some brutish power to it as well. And it does have that weird little engine rock when you give it a bit of a rev. The joys of this classic BM engine. Tell me your opinions, what would you think of it? One thing I have noticed with this bike is when you change gear, you do get a little bit of a jerkiness to it. Now I showed you what it's like when you give it some revs, where the bike shakes a little bit, but when it engages into a gear, you get a similar kind of shake. As soon as it connects, the bike just wobbles a little bit. It's not a dangerous wobble, but it's a noticeable one. Maneuverability on this bike is pretty good as well, because it does have an appearance of a quite small bike. It doesn't take much to get it round the bends. Now I'd say size wise with this, I would probably compare it to the Yamaha MT-09, that kind of size and feel. Obviously you have a different view with this, because when you look down, all you can see is that beast of an engine. The suspension on this bike is quite good, it soaks up the bumps quite well. And although you guys probably can't hear Taff's directions, there's a lot of left right going when he's turning just left. So if my riding looks a bit erratic, it's because I'm trying to follow this crazy person in front. It sounds nice when you give it that little bit of squeeze on the throttle. It's making me go high pitch, so it must be good. And the heated grips are doing their thing as well, only on setting number 2, so they're not quite at frying pan heat, but they're doing enough to keep my hands nice and warm. He keeps giggling in my ear every time he has a little bit of a twist on his throttle, because he's in love with his Africa Twin. Does look nice, and don't forget to check out Taffy Apple's YouTube page, because he does have a review on there of his Honda Africa Twin that he picked up last week, and it's definitely worth a watch. And if indeed you are new to my channel, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe on here too, as well as these test rides that I'm doing to give you guys a little look around these bikes if you're thinking about buying one. I'm also going to do a couple of tours and a couple of local rides, so make sure you come back and have a look at those. This is the kind of bike that you could have as your weekend plaything, because it does have a nice little responsive throttle to it. And again, I'm only in road mode at the minute, so it does have more to give as well, but I'm perfectly happy in road mode. It's got loads of punch to it. I'm not going to bother with rain mode, the roads are dry, so I don't want to go any slower. A good place to check the manoeuvrability of this bike. You can see we've got a little cul-de-sac here, and the turning circle is good. I don't need to go backwards anyway. Yep, no requirement to go backwards, that was alright. So it does have a good turning circle, and for these little speed bumps, it just completely soaks up the bump, so yeah, it's comfortable. We're just gonna do a brake test. Let's try the back brake. Okay, so that was alright, as good as any back brake you're gonna get. And a front brake, yeah, that's really nice and responsive as well, so it certainly stops well. The brakes on this are decent. As per most of my test rides that I do, I don't tend to put loads of facts and figures on. This is just a real world test for me to tell you how I feel about this bike, how it performs just on everyday conditions. Price wise, it's just a little short under £13,000, brand spanking new, so it's not a cheap motorcycle by any stretch, but you know, you are getting a BMW motorcycle for under 13,000, so for me, I would say it's priced about right. You know, it's not cheap by any stretch, but it's not ridiculously expensive either. It is not a touring motorbike. It's a fun bike, and you'll have hours and hours of fun on something like this, but this isn't something that I would want to be sat on for 8 hours. I wouldn't want to be doing hundreds and hundreds of miles, because at my age I think my back would be done in completely. I'm going to leave this review there, and I'm going to go and have some more playing on this bike, so hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you pop back for future ones, and I've said it already, but hit subscribe. It's not going to hit subscribe by itself, you need to do it. So catch you on the next one. Later guys, Scoodles.